Thank you for staying with us. Moving to the major conversation for today, Nigeria's headline inflation reached 28.92% in December, marking the 12th consecutive increase in 2023. The persistent rise in inflation, particularly food inflation, has significant implications for the cost of living and poses challenges to many households in the country. The National Bureau of Statistics reported that Nigeria's food inflation climbed to 33.93% in December of 2023 compared to 32.83% in November of the same year. This presents a 2.72% increase month on month, driven by higher prices in categories such as oil and fat, meat, bread and cereals, potato, yam and other tubers, fish and milk, as well as cheese and eggs. A comprehensive and coordinated effort involving government policies, private sector initiatives and community engagement is necessary to address the root causes of food inflation in Nigeria and work towards sustainable solutions. To have this conversation with us is Session Okwade, and he is an economic analyst. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Josh. To all our viewers across the globe, good morning to them. Let me take compliment of the season. I think this is the first time I say.
January is actually ending today.
Last day. Not a great way to end the month.
Of course.
It will not be unusual to say I'm not here in the month of January.
I see.
Even though it is the last day.
So we must say you're welcome then.
Thank you very much.
All right. December 2023 seemed to be like the height of, the increase that we had seen over the months in 2023. Talking about hiking food prices, but it kind of came to a very high point in December. And of course, we have the statistics as I had read out earlier. But there are conversations out there saying that there might be unforeseen factors, aside, of course, the fact that we know that the economy hadn't really been very conducive through the year 2023. Do you think there are other things that are driving the increase in food prices and food inflation between November and December of 2023?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good question and the starting point. You see, the fundamental problem with the increase has to do with the demand and supply analysis. I'm sure you all know what December speaks to. It's a celebration mode. There's a period where so much is paid to workers to commemorate or celebrate the end of the year. And, several people wants to end, well. And that actually gives room for more demand as at the month December 2023, and it's like that every year. The period where demand really overshoots its main target. But when you talked about increasing the inflation rate, the bottom line is simple: the demand outweighs the supply beyond what it used to be. And it boils around the problem of insecurity. Majority of the foodstuff that you read through in your prologue are basic things that we do have here locally. But you discover that because of the level of insecurity, there has been more of importation of some of these goods into the country. And looking at the cost of foreign exchange, it has actually impacted on it. If you look at the statistics, they will tell you that food inflation is about 33%. Maybe putting other parameters to it, but I would say that it's more than 100%. You cannot consistently buy things on daily basis and get it at the same price. In terms of foodstuff, go to the nearby markets that we have here. By 12, you send them something to buy today. You're getting them tomorrow. If it is today 2,000, by the time you're getting there tomorrow, if it is not 2,000, it will be 2,005. And it keeps increasing like that. You ask yourself, suddenly the price of pepper being impacted with foreign exchange? Are we imported it? But some people have actually said it that we've started importing most of those things. And I think I'm a witness to the loaves, bread, there are imported breads in the country now. And I know those days where we're growing up, agege bread used to be something that we promote and eat. But now you see them at the shelf, and you ask yourself the health implication. Bakeries are around us where we're growing up, where you eat daily bread. So when you import, how long as that bread stays? You know, that means there are preservative things that can impact or tell on our health. You've seen instances where people are now, they prefer to import gari that we're exporting, that our people will take out. They are now buying from neighboring countries. So this on its own hamper the cost of buying some of those things, because you need to use dollar to buy them. The ones that we have locally are really not available because of level of insecurity. The woman that has processed certain foods in the east, in the west, in the north, is finding it difficult to the commercial nerve center where people can have access to buy. How many people move to Kano, to Port Harcourt, to Lagos? These are the hub where commercial activities happen. A lot of restrictions. So it's a serious problem that is bedeviling us as a nation. And part of the things I've actually been challenging this administration on is to see how to work on security. If the security is there, a farmer can go to farm, the logistic company can move at night. Those days you can, process certain of your harvest, some of your goods, and the next morning they are out there for people to buy, and people are buying fresh things. But these days you discover that they are being intersected on the road because those people who are involved in kidnapping, in banditry, need foodstuff to sustain even what they are doing. So it's coming from them. The people that have actually got those materials are not having value because it's intercepted and it's not getting to the final consumer. So you discover that security play a cogent role if we must reduce this food inflation.
I like the fact that you've been very, very sincere about your analysis, especially with regards to why things on a daily basis that one buys will not remain the same. But one cannot understand or explain the astronomical increase of a particular commodity to the tune of 300% because we have to buy it on a daily. Yes, you've also attributed it to come from insecurity. And I could remember on this same table sometime last year, because good enough, this is the first time we're having you, so it's okay for us to review so far what government have been able to do to resolve this. We have the CNC in charge, but unfortunately he's not in the country. So how does he feel the plight of people? I have an Uber driver that has a family of 6. He buys 4 loaves of bread to take home on a weekend. Now looking at the cost of bread, how much can this Uber man afford looking at the number of families to feed? Before now, you gave us the feeling that let us give this new government a chance so that they can be able to at least look at what is on ground and hit the ground running. And he made a statement that yes, situation of things was very bad when he took off, but of course, we're going to move on a baby step of paying. This is 8 months down the line. What would you say as regards any form of policy that has been put in place that saw the light of day to make sure that there is a cushioning effect on the living cost of Nigerians? Because as it stands today, I don't think Nigerians are already in any way singing the praises of the renewed hope. So what is your view as regards the future of Nigerians as we move down further into the system of things?
Yeah, thank you very much, Josh. I have this to say that whatever policy you put in place and you don't address security, you seem not to go anywhere. And I've said it times with that number that rejigging the security chiefs, I don't think is the way to go. But strategizing on the approach to security might be a lasting solution. Quite disappointing that the current IGP used to be a preacher who upheld community policing or state policing before he assumed office. But all of a sudden, that seems to be something that is really not on the front burner for the administration. You see, if we are able to tame security, it has gotten to the level that we are talking about kidnapping people. Are you aware that the assets of some of the utility companies are actually being stolen on daily basis? and that on its own impacts the businesses that people are doing, the cost of alternative power supply is not even there for them to survive. So first and foremost, I would say you can have good policies, the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, the agricultural policy. If there is insecurity in the land, there is no how prosperity can grow. And that's why I'm just putting before the president, this is high time we must reverse and do things differently. Decentralize the power that we have at the center in terms of security. Can we have situation where states will be held responsible? Just yesterday, 2 days ago, when this happened in Ekiti, we saw the governor came out and say we'll track the perpetrator of these ills, and I'm asking myself, do we have to wait until we lose high-ranking person like a traditional leader before we react to it? And it's part of the bottom line to say, sorry, the chief security officer of the state is the governor. There should be parameters to hold him accountable for the safety of the citizen that is actually governing. You trickle it down to the local government. You trickle it down to the traditional leaders. I ask myself the question while we're growing up, and I'm sure you have that feel. It's difficult for you to even pass the front of Oba's palace. You'll be scared. There is this fear of
there's a consciousness.
That consciousness that you are actually, moving in front of the palace of the Oba. You dare not touch an Oba. You across board, not only in the southwest or east, even in the north, you have that regard for any Oba of any category, not the high-ranking one, even the so-called bales, in the local area. But these days, they are the main target. And I ask myself, if you take away the leadership, how do you expect those areas where there's Oba are taken now? Nothing is going to happen there, because who is going to give the direction? It's just like taking away the managing director of a firm. I'm sure there will be disorder, because everybody now wants to play their cards in such a way that it will favor them. So I feel that they are going in terms of fiscal policy, monetary policy, agricultural policy. All those policies are good. You can write them on paper. But if we don't have the right security architecture in such a way to nip it at the bud, and why are we advocating for community policing? Is that if 3 of us stays in the end state and we know ourselves, we can start gathering database. When you come in, I want to know what Josh is doing. I want to know what Uche is doing. If suddenly I'm seeing Josh, who is riding the Toyota Camry, suddenly go ahead and buy a 2023 Land Cruiser, within the community we should ask questions. A lot of this money that the kidnappers are taking are in the hands of people, and they are spending it in our community. Gone are those days when you can ask questions. And it's because when you even get information, they tell you that if you see something, say something. Who are you reporting to? Just this morning, I read on the headline that 2 police officers were actually suspended, in Ogun State for armed robbery. Does that make sense? These are the people that you are supposed to confide in, but they are the ones that expose those information. And I keep saying it, the greedy nature in every individual has gone 1000% higher than what we used to be, because we have lost our values. What we celebrate most now, it's about money. Somebody comes in and he lavishly spend money on everybody. You start ailing him, no question. People go to religious houses. If you have so much money, you give, they celebrate you. We must go back to the core value, where people can ask questions. 2, where you can conveniently, comfortably, and have the boldness that if I report this to the police or to the security agency, there would definitely be an action on their part. Whatever policy you are putting in place, whether fiscal, whether monetary, whether agriculture-wise, and there is insecurity, nothing can speak out of that place. And what is actually happening now is that we lose our guard in allowing kidnapping to now be a business venture, because majority of the people before now that have been caught, you see, we have funny way of addressing issue in this country. During corruption,
if they pick anybody, I'm sure you know the language they use. My lawyer friend will say, Bishop is still an allegation. Allegation that is obvious to us that this money has been stolen. We saw this person before now, before he took office, and all of a sudden, this is what he's doing. And you're still telling me he has not misappropriated fund. Is he there actually to enrich himself or to create development to it? And you hear for years, it's an allegation. We are looking at it. Allegation, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Now, we are just hearing, we have actually picked this suspect. We have picked that suspect. We have not seen any of them that have actually been punished one way or the other. It looks like the accusation of an average citizen telling you that even when you go there to go and report to the security agency, all you are doing is that you have announced to them for them to enrich themselves. And these are problems that we are faced with. Whatever policies that we are putting in place, if we are not addressing the issue of security, we are going nowhere. And that's why we are putting it before the president. Quite disheartening that at this point the president had to go on a private visit to France, and some of us have actually called it out to say, Mr. President, there is no reason for you to you don't have a private life. We want to know everything that the president is doing so that the country can be carried along. There will be surprises, but as we speak, he's out there with the NSA, and the country is having so much unrest. 2 days ago, it used to be in the north, now it's in the west. We've had issue in Ekiti, we have issue in Ogun State, and this is putting so much pressure on the little resources we claim to be having, because inflation has eaten deep into everything we are doing. The cost of living of an average Nigeria is not even zero, it's negative. People are struggling to make ends, and that's why I feel government need to be intentional. If you can solve the problem of security, I can decide to have my goods during the day, move at night, deliver to my client, come back the next day to start, doing my work. These are the ways that we used to do it years back. 10 years back, I don't travel during the day. I love traveling at night. Why? The environment will be cool. I know I can see long distance, so I feel going at night. But these days, just tell someone that you want to travel from here to Ekiti as we're speaking, they will ask you, why are you going on suicide mission? Are you now aware of what is happening there? Everybody, people in diaspora start calling you. Are you safe? Even where you are staying in Lagos, are you sure you are safe? People are not working. Have you even observed that if you go to church, we now have minimal testimony of the good doings of God? Because as soon as you're giving the testimony, people are running after you to collect their own share. Those days when you will be boastful to say, God has done this for me, I want to appreciate God, people are now hiding themselves, and we see day by day this improvement. So every other policy that you want to say, they are doing it, but we cannot feel the impact if this level of insecurity continues. Before now, some states can be identified as a very peaceful state where you can lay your heads and go to bed, but it's becoming a different story now. Ekiti used to be a very peaceful place. We used to know then, during the time of the late Akere Dolu, where they had headlong in Ondo State some of the people that are actually attacking them, and that was what brought the setting up of Amotekun. I don't like the approach of being reactive to issue. Now we are hearing the police is joining forces with NCDC, with the vigilante group and all this thing. Is this what we should be doing after we've lost life? People are now demanding for 100 million. I've asked, when some of these ransoms are paid, are there no intelligence gathering to even show the first people that have been there? The stories we hear is that when you even see the kidnappers, you cannot see the money on them. That means they are just an instrument being used to perpetrate the act. Those that are actually doing those things are behind the scene. Can we unravel this thing? My concern, you see, fantastic policies you can have, drafters of policies are there, but I can tell you, where you have insecurity, you cannot implement any of those policies that you might think you have. And I think this is the what I will attribute to part of the shortfall of this new administration. The security has been on the other side, because if those things, if you are secure, I hear less about foreign exchange. We can now start producing things ourselves. Now because of the reduction or because of insecurity, you are, during the last administration, we are boasting of producing rice locally, but we have opened the border so that more rice can come in. That on its own is putting pressure on our foreign exchange, because the people buying those things are not going to use naira to buy.
But
they are going to use foreign exchange.
But you just said now that you care less about foreign exchange. So how can they be able to manufacture local content when the raw materials are not here?
But you see, for food,
they pass the cost to you.
No, for food, over 90% of the raw materials to process this food are locally. And that's why I'm saying that if you have security, the breads that we eat, the rice that we eat, we have arable lands that can produce those. And we've been producing it before now. But because of the level of insecurity, everybody is scared to go to the farm to make some of those production, farming. And that's the problem. So if you are able to address that issue, people will no longer promote or patronize those foreign products. It's because there is no availability of our own. That's why everybody seems to be patronizing the foreign product, which is putting pressure on our foreign exchange.
And because our time is speeding actually, and it's almost up. But you know, from your last submissions about being able to solve this issue of insecurity and probably start looking into local production, during the early days of this administration, when new policies were being rolled out, policies that quote unquote at the time were supposed to set the ground running and turn things around, we saw the whole taking away of fuel subsidy, which of course is like one of the major policies that came in that, you know, did turn things around. What we don't know is whether it's in the positive or in the negative. And so some other ones that also came along that line. But we didn't see any policy as at that time when it was hot in the lines of production and manufacturing locally. We didn't have even a conversation towards that area. So even when we are of course pointing out challenges and issues that are affecting the economy and why it has gotten so, with insecurity on top of the list, let us assume that we are on the table having this conversation on nipping insecurity on the board. Do you see a will to actually look into local production, which of course I cannot begin to reel out all the positives it can bring into the country, from the foreign exchange, bringing it down, even crashing it, to increasing the naira and its whatever it's supposed to worth and all that. But do you see a will to look into production? Because it seems like this administration does not have any plans in that area. How do you react to that?
Yeah, Uche, I have this to say, and I'm candid about it. I'm not seeing the political will for local production. It's disheartening to hear yesterday. I'm still trying to struggle with it when I learned that Dangote will start importing crude oil for his refinery. And I think that on its own exonerated people like us who said the setting up of Dangote refinery is not going to ease anything. It's a privately owned entity, and you can't take decision for him. He sources raw materials himself. I can choose to go and buy anywhere, provided I am going to maximize my profit and actually give my shareholders who have actually, supported me, invested in me, supported me to come high up there. And people are saying, no, government has stake in it. Government has, what is the percentage of the stake? We can decide as shareholders, come together and take out your stake and say, we don't want you to be part of the shareholding any longer. So when I heard that, I looked at it that this is something we were thinking that locally we can raise and give for him to process and domesticate things. But now is a different story. And we are not, why I'm shocked is that we are not hearing anything even from the government to counter it. So when you don't counter such, it's as good as take it hook, line and sinker, that is what is actually happening. So you can imagine when we start importing crude oil, what we are producing, and we think we are selling to OPEC. I was thinking that we will say that, okay, well, let's first satisfy our people by making sure that these God-given natural resources that we have, we can make use of it by, relying on our own, having a processing
firm to process this crude oil and give it to us at the best price. But we are not even ready to avail those raw materials to it. We are diversifying we are not diversifying to other things. We keep hearing of illegal mining in the hands of very few. Government is not taking charge. You can imagine how much we get from gold. The quality of gold that we produce here is what they source out for. But you discover that foreigners come, exploit it, take it out, and you ask yourself, they are just the frontliner. The main people behind the scene are getting the money. So government needs to be intentional. You see, I keep saying it, that we have no reason to be poor as a nation. The natural resources is there, endowed in a large quantity. The human capital is enormous. The intellectual level of an average Nigeria is high up there, and that's why you see them out of the country. They are there. The only thing we are currently lacking is the political will of our leader and the consciousness to know that we are here to serve the citizen, and the lot of the citizen is on us to make them better than where we made them. And that's the gap that we are actually faced with. And I think government just need to be intentional. If there is serious poverty in the land, but just very few might be handling, and those that are having the very few are being conscious, so that you will not see yourself in the hand of the other people that will just take you and put your family under pressure. Government need to be intentional about this thing. Policies you can write, but you cannot implement them when we are not safe. I am not seeing the direction, the right direction on the part of the government. Can we try this issue of community policing as an alternative, where we hold you accountable and get the database of things that we're doing?
With that that you just said, you do not see any direction when it comes to decentralizing security because of the way it's going.
Of course.
Now, what would you say of an essay to the president? I'm talking about Bayo Ononuga, in what he referred to as a press statement from the presidency, replying Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that he is reacting based on hangover, whereas the situation before us is alarming. We have just seen within 8 months, more than 1,000 persons have lost their lives. Yet, rather than sit on issues and make sure that these issues are tackled, they are busy replying an individual who is more like a private citizen. So do you see any intentionality from the angle of government to tackle insecurity headlong? Or what they are going to be busy doing is facing distractions?
As far as I'm concerned, no apology. The handlers of the information of the president seems not to be doing a good job. And that's just the truth. Atiku is a citizen. I have my reservation even with his response, because I feel that rather than saying go and resign or do anything, I've said it, come up with suggestion, build up a think tank.
But he has said oftentimes that he has given suggestion over and over again, but it has been thrown into the wind. And no one has implemented it. Now they are feeling he's reacting based on hangover.
See, the issue is every of those suggestions should not be only to the government. Let it be in the public domain. People will say, okay, we can read. For me, I've not gone through any of those policies that I can say, okay, this is the handwork of our former vice president that is suggesting way to caution some of the challenges that we are faced with. It's not about, because I always tell them, I listen to all their campaign promises. No difference. All of them came up to say I will remove subsidy. All of them said I will do this. Majority is like they had a joint meeting.
Did he not give suggestion about privatizing the NNPC?
Is it not privatized?
So which of his suggestions are not in the public domain?
No, but it was not based on his suggestion. The last administration did it. He came up to say I will go further to privatize and do so many other. But look at the policy that this current administration is bringing on board, making sure that we are now separating power. You sell, I collect the money. So when you give me the certain number of crude oil that you have actually dispatched out, I can have documented. So tomorrow, if you are giving out this figure, this person is giving out figure, and there is lacuna, we can pick you up on it. So for me, it is not about coming to say, let's remove this person. This one is not good, you remove. This one is not good, you remove. Can we suggest? Because the president said it, and all the governor is all in their speech.
all the people that have lost election, can we come together collectively to see how we can move our country forward? That's the only area I feel that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar needs to do. Spread it in the public domain. Let people read through, criticize it. At times, they may not say yes to you. When you give those suggestions, they are working behind the scene. It happens even in corporate organization. If people just know that George, we don't like him, he's always bragging, if he's a knows it all, you give your own perspective of the view. You go to bed and sleep and you say, this was what I suggested the other time that they said they should shut it down. That's what they are implementing. You can give that credit. And people will know that indeed Josh said this. And it should be given credit to that. Those are the things we want them to do. And to the handlers of the presidency, there are times that you don't give response to every word that comes up. That you're saying that he's still fighting the hangover. Even we that we are not there, we, the ardent supporter of this administration, we are feeling the pain. And we are talking. People have asked and said, suddenly share some things. I said, the truth is, when you see reality, you just have to say the way it is. Things are not smart. And I'm happy that majority of them who are the corridor of power will come out and say, indeed, we know that Nigeria is facing a lot of hardship. Enough of telling us that you know. What are the actions that you are putting in place that can quickly? The other time the NLC was suggesting 200,000 as minimum wage. I'm sure if you earn 200,000 now, it's nothing. Because first thing you need to do is, because we are import based as a nation, if you are earning 200,000 as at the beginning of this administration, convert it to dollar. What can you buy online for yourself, since you are not producing anything locally? And what exactly can you buy now? A professor was doing analysis that he was earning 500,000, at the beginning of the year. Converting it then was it was still around $1,000, for him. But if, as we speak now, it's less than $300. So is it getting better or getting impoverished as a leader? And what encouraging me, because things that we are going to use that funds to buy are actually being imported, and it's on the high rising every day. So the government should, I think we should have a minimal response to some of the critics of the president. Let your actions speak. If I'm able to move from Lagos to Ikiti, not with fear, people are still traveling, but it's always with fear. And the last time I had to embark on the journey from Lagos to Ibadan, I told my driver, you cannot drive, let me drive. Because I want every of my arsenal to be arrived. A driver can just be driving and be going. But when you are the one on the wheel, you can take charge, take decision. And that is the way an average citizen is moving around when you are having interstate traveling, which is not what we used to have before now. So government should address the level of insecurity. Every of those policies that they are putting in place to relieve it, there is no ease of doing business, so it's only documentation you can have ease of doing business. But as we speak, a lot of things are on the horizon. The operating cost of an average citizen, business owners, keeps rising. And what that amounts to is that you are going to lay off staff. What will those staff do? They will look at people that have carried out kidnapping, earning and living life to join the business. Are you not aware that they now have an association of fraudsters women, Yahoo? The other time that are coming, that you wake up in the morning and say, I'm handing you over to go and learn how to do internet fraud. Wow. That's how bad we found ourselves. We must go back to promote the value that we are known for and be each other's brother's keeper.
And what we take away from this entire conversation this morning is the insecurity. As long as insecurity remains, we might never be able to move forward as a people. Thank you so much, Sesho, for coming on the show today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Uche and George. Thank you, and to all our viewers, the best of the day today.
All right, iBrand Day break. We'll go on a short break and we'll return very quickly. Don't go anywhere. Do stay with us.